I'm going to show you a brand new program from Cower & Hagel called Shout Metrics. And really what it is, it's for doing polls. You want to do some polls, whether in the form of bar graphs or pie charts. And you want to poll, you want to send out questions to your audience and get people to respond and see how the polls are being adjusted. So this is the program for that. Now, I have a couple of polls already started. I'm going to start a brand new and a manual one and show you how to go through it. Okay, so this is how it's done. You can give it a name. Let's just leave it as manual poll. So this section right here, basically what this program does is it creates an XML file that then we can bring into Lyric using the data objects. Now, I can step by this right here, but you can actually go into Lyric and create a template, a text template, let's say for the title, maybe the information underneath the bars and so forth. And so you can manually add a template. So I can add it. I can say the template is title, and the value of that title is new poll for Lyric Training 2015. And basically what happens is when you start this, it creates the XML file. This information will then be part of that XML file that you can then link to your Lyric scene. So I'm not going to spend too much time in here. I'll show you ones that I already have set up. But then we come down to the search, the query search. And again, right now this works with Twitter. So basically I can say I want to query. Let's query the people that are actually tweeting about Major League Baseball. So I can say hashtag MLB. And then we can add another one, and I can say, let's say, NBA. And I can add a third one and say NHL. Okay. Now, because I've done a manual one, I would be manually changing this. And so as I change this, you can see that it's already starting to show me the percentages right here. So if I went, added some here, you can see that that's made it 50%. Then if I added one on Major League Baseball, it already figures out what the percentages are for me. Okay, so if I was doing just a regular poll, I wouldn't get this information. I'd just be putting in the 3 queries. Okay, so then let's come down to the metrics. So we count. So we want to do a count, and the count on the first one should be MLB. And then we can do a count on NBA. And we can also do a count on NHL. Okay, and so I want to show the value, and I also want to show the percent. So these figures will then get added to the XML file. So I'm just going to leave this for a sec, because technically I want to do the range as well. But this is a little bit easier to understand when I start showing you what we do in Lyric. So let's switch over to Lyric. And I already started the poll. So I basically said, okay, here's the title of the poll, right? And so that's the template called title of poll. This is, bar, or it's called bar 1 title. This is the bar 1%, bar 2 title, percent, so forth. And then I went on and I added a 3D primitive. So I just brought the primitive into place, and let's go ahead and bring another one in here. So I'll add a 3D primitive just to show you exactly what I did. So I shrunk it down in size. And then I scaled it up. Okay, so basically what I want to do is I'm looking at these numbers right here. Obviously at the start would be 0. Okay, so with no bar on the screen, it's 0. And I bring it up to the maximum height that I want. And so that one's good, so that's 1.6. So the range then becomes 0 to 1.6. So if I go back to Shout Metrics, the range will be 0 to 1.6. And I do it the same 1.6. And that's 0. And that's 0. So that's the range. Because shout metrics then, it'll figure out, or it'll do the math for you, depending on what number goes in here, where that bar should be between 0 and 1.6. So in this case, it's 40%. If it was 50%, I could make it 50%. These two bars would then be 50% up the screen. So that's very easy to understand. Okay, so let's delete that. Now we're going to create some animation. Okay, I'm just mainly going to worry about animation of the bars. Okay, so basically what I've done here is I've just created an animation. I've created an animation from 0 up to 1.6. And then if you open it up right here, you'll see the Y scale. And so at this point, if I right-click on the Y scale, the second keyframe, and hit Modify Keyframe Attribute, normally this would be off. I'd say I want to make this updatable. And the field name is bar 3 end. Again, you can type anything you want in there. You should type in there something that makes sense, so then it makes it very easy when you start linking them. So that's bar 3 end. Same thing with this one. Click on bar 2, right click, and that one's bar 2 end. And same thing with this one, bar 3 end. That's bar 1 end, bar 2 end, and bar 3 end. Okay, yes, that's bar 3 end right there. So that's basically what we do. All right. So that's recorded to message number 60. Okay. And again, we have this. The only thing we have to do with this right now is we have to give it a name. Okay, so where are we going to put this? I'm going to go to Shout Metrics. I'm going to call this one Lyric Training 2015 Manual Poll. Okay. Now, there's a reason why you would want to flatten the results, and we'll go over that in the next couple of tutorials. The other thing that you can do is you can say include pie chart data, and again I'm going to go over that one as well. So if I just click on this, when this gets changed, it's going to give me data, assuming I'm going to do a pie chart, and we're going to go through a pie chart in the next tutorial. But for now, let's just leave it like this. So we can make the count, this, whatever. And as we do that, you can see down here in the little log, it's being saved. As soon as one change happened here, this becomes saved. Okay, so let's go over to Lyric. And what we're going to do is we're going to add that data object. Okay, so again, we'll add the data object. And this time it's an XML file. So we go here, go to Drive By, Lyric Training, Database, Shout Metrics, and there it is, the Lyric Training 2015 Manual Poll. Okay. Now we come down here, the XML file becomes very big. And I think if we come down here to the custom query, that's where now you see all these percentages. And again, it's probably better to go into cell because I like it so that it's easy to drag and drop the values. Okay. So again, the search query, we don't need that. The value, we don't need that. We were looking at the percentages. Okay, so let's look down here. The very first one was Major League Baseball. So we'll say bar 1 percentage right there. Just drag that over to bar 1 percentage, bar 2 percentage, bar 3 percentage. Okay. And bar 1 end is going to be under the range right there. These are the ranges, so we click on this one, click on this one, and click on this one. Now remember that I had the title, and I had the title for the bars along the bottom. That's why it's good. So let's just go back here for a second. That's why you would want to flatten the results. If you flatten the results, all of these queries get flattened into one. Okay, so again, I'll go over that and we'll show you a good way to get around that. But right now, I can only do one of these in one data object. So I'm basically done with that. Now, if I wanted to add the titles, okay, I can do another one. I can say, well, let's add another data object to that same one, title in there. So again, we come down to where, okay, so there is the title. So we'll go to cell, and title of poll is this. Bar 1 title is this. Bar 2 title is this, and bar 3 title is this, and hit OK. Okay, so let's record that to message number 61. Now when I read it up, you can actually see that it picked up that information. Okay, and let's compare. We'll just bring this down a little bit. You can see those numbers. 23.5 is in there, 29.4 and 47.1. So that's what's going in there, and the bars grew accordingly. Okay, so if I went in here and I said, let's add under MLB, let's make this really high. And then I read page 61 again. There it is. It automatically picked up that value. Okay, and animate them. Okay, but what we want to do now with this one is we want to actually put this on the output, and as we are changing the bars, these bars are going to grow and the numbers are going to change. So let's set that up. Now just to show you how I want this to end up looking, I'm going to read up the first scene, and you'll see that this is exactly how I want the bar to end up looking. I've actually added the total vote count into this one and so forth. And again, when I animate the bars, you can actually see how they actually move. So that's exactly where we want to get to. So how do we do that? Okay, so we call this up again, and really what I want to do on all three of these bars growing up is we flag them for inherit state. Okay, so just flag them as inherit state. That's the first thing. The second thing is our data object that we put in here. Okay, so we should really name which is the data object, which data object. This data object 2, really we only need it to trigger it once to call up the titles for the bars. This one here is adjusting the percentages and the bars. So we could name this one data object bars if we want. And this one is data object title. All right. The second thing that we want to do is, in order to do the inherit state, we need to update the data, and then we have to tell it to go to a different transition to update the data, and then go back to this transition to animate the bars. So this is how we do it. First of all, let's just add another transition, and we're just going to call this one hold. Okay. And we're recording this to scene 63. So in the hold, let's go to the hold transition, and we're going to put in these three bars, and we're going to put in the data object for the bar, so we're going to drop that in there as well. Now we have to tell this to do something, so let's go to the events, and this is where we're dealing with the data object events or just events, and we're going to be doing both of these. So the data object for the bar, right at keyframe, I want to give it a command to do a refresh, and basically what that's doing is it's in the hold. Again, we're not animating the bars. In the hold function, we're going to do a refresh to tell the data object to go and refresh the data, refresh this, the information from the data. And then I like doing it every keyframe. You can put them in there, but I like going down one frame and adding it again. And on this one, we're going to update. All right. And then let's just go to the very end, and we'll add it again to display it. All right, so we're doing a display. Now, in this triggers, by default, it says on the update, do a display. I'm just going to remove that one. We don't need to do that on that trigger because we've done it right here. Okay, so we're just about done with that one, but we have to add an event as well. Okay, so the event, let's put the event back, let's say at keyframe 20. So we're going to add just an event. Okay, and the event from this one is we're going to activate animate bars, because we want, once it's here, we want it to go back and animate the bars with the new data. Okay, so back on this one, we have the data object. It's in there. So the bars get animated. And then at the very end, let's just go past the very end a little bit. Let's go to like 125 or so. We're going to add a new event. And this is an activation to go to the hold. And let's just come to the effect in. And the first thing we wanted to do, the first thing we could do is we could add the 3 bars to the effect in. So let's add that. Now really what we want to do with these is we don't need them animating in the effect in, but we actually want them down to 0, because if they're in the effect in, they're just going to appear there. So we can come to the over here, and we can bring these down to 0 so you don't see them. And again, we can do animations on the text if you want. But the other thing that we do on the effect in is just, let's say down, I don't know, 10 frames in, 11 frames in, we want to add another event. So we'll add a new event, and this new event basically says, hey, from the effect in, I want to go to the hold. Hold is getting me the information, then it's going to go back to the animate bars and trigger them. Okay, so the activation to the hold. Okay, so we're going to dial it up to 64. Okay, there's one more thing that we have to do. On the effect in, I brought them down to 0. On the hold, because on the very first move going from the effect in to the hold, the bars are all up. So we got to take all of those bars and bring them back down again. So just to recap what we've done here now. On the effect in, we added the 3 bars and we brought them down to 0 on the Y scale. We added an event a few frames in, and the event basically activated the hold. I want to go over to the hold, make sure the bars don't move, get the updated data, and then go back to the animated bars. Now, probably good to start naming these, so we could say event to hold to start. All right, and the start goes to the hold. Okay, so again, the 3 bars are in here. Remember, we added inherit state to them, all 3 of them. We added an event, this event, which is an event. Go to events to animate bars. So we could say event to animate bars. Always good to name and label things. Okay, so animate bars. The other thing in the hold is we added some commands to the data object. So right at the very start, we added a command to refresh the data. get the updated information from the data. The next keyframe, we said, okay, we refreshed it, let's update the information. And then at the very end, we said, okay, now that you have it, let's display it. So you're going to display, at that point, this text will get displayed. And just to speed things up just a little bit before that, we added another event, and that event is to animate the bars. Okay, so now that's done. Let's go back to the animate bars. And again, we started the bars down at 0, and we animated them up. And again, we put an update on that Y scale. Again, you know, in the effect we can put the poll title, we can put a background, we can animate and so forth. The data object's in there, but it's not doing anything. And at the end of the animation, we added another event. And this is an activation event to go to the hold. So we could say event to hold. Okay, let's record that to message number 65. We'll look at virtual frame buffer, and let's play it to the output. Okay, so there's the bars that grew up. Okay, let's go to shout metrics. I'm just going to bring this over here. Okay, so you can see as I start doing this, those numbers change and the bars grow. Okay, so if I put in a big chain, let's go down to the NHL and I say I want to give it 75. Okay, so it took a big jump there. So you can see that with the inherit state on, it's actually moving. Let's go to message number 60, and we'll clear that one off. And this has a little bit more animation in it. Okay, so we come back to shout metrics on this one. And this one is the sport for Major League Sports. So I said that's the title that goes in there. All right. This one I'm actually searching NHL, MLB, and NBA. Okay, so we put the counts in here. Now in this one I start polling. So the interval is set up for 15 seconds. That this one is going to shout metrics. Okay, lyric training Major League Sports. And we start the poll. So it takes obviously 15 seconds for the count to start. But if I play this onto the output now, okay, that was the last information. You can see that it's already changed, so let's go and see this. See, there's one vote that came in, so that's why you get the 33%. So in 15 seconds, it should change. There, it just changed. So you can see the bars are actually starting to grow. And this is the total count, and I wanted to show that up there. So it's kind of different. You can actually, instead of putting the percentage down there, you can actually put these numbers in. But sometimes the percentage looks good, so I wanted to put the total count over here. So you can see as these numbers are changing, those bar graphs are changing as well. But a great way to show polls and to generate viewer interest in your programs with shout metrics connected to Lyric.